Hello, this is an assessment of a Steinway 1889 upright piano. It's come in for assessment to see if we would like to purchase it or not. The first positive thing is it's got 88 keys, which is a lot of Steinways of this age have got 85 keys. We prefer the 88 key models. Now, looking at these key tops, they've been replaced with plastic key tops and fronts, and not really very correct replacement, I would say. In fact, we would definitely going to have to change them. You see there's one here that's actually broken, and we've noticed that there's some of them are lifting off. We would use a much more ivory coloured white, and we don't think it would sell very well like it is. The music stand here needs book holders, really. These are typical book holders on an old style upright piano. This means you can put thicker books on without any problem. Now, the case looks in pretty good condition, although there's quite a difference in colour between inside the fall and, as you can see there, the front of the piano. The outside of the fall there is matching the front. But the case is reasonably good, just with the odd scratch. Again, there's quite a difference in colour there between the front and the back, so if we were repolishing a piano, we'd match it in obviously a lot better than that. Now, this piano has apparently been restored in the USA, and that would figure. It's got typical USA green bridle tapes here. The original should be white and leather front. There seems to have some sort of material that's not leather or plastic that's fixing them here, but reasonable quality. But they've all been stuck on here on the butts in rather a sort of haphazard fashion. Although they all work, they're not the same length at all. They're quite a variety of length. That's really not acceptable, because some of them are lifting off straight away, and others are really long and don't lift off at all, like this one here. It's not lifting off at all. The hammers here are American hammers. They're not sort of typical Steinway hammers for Europe, certainly. I don't know if they are for the USA. And they're not been finished off properly. If you see, there's a kind of like what we call ears on them there. That should have been refaced afterwards to give it the proper look to it and the proper tone. We don't have an upright in the workshop to compare with, but you can see these Steinway hammers. This is the correct colour for the age of the piano. We would have yellow for uprights as well at this age of piano, because it's an older Steinway. And you see the hammers are really smooth on the top. They've been smoothed off, refaced. Now back to this Steinway, the hammers are quite sort of woolly looking anyway. There's no evidence of them having been toned at all. There's no toning needle marks on the side here. I said that the hammers are reasonably good quality, I think. The dampers too, although the dampers don't need regulating badly. If you look at these two, the left-hand one's coming off a lot earlier than the right-hand one, which is coming off right at the very last minute, I think. And there's a lot of them coming off at the last minute too, and they should be much earlier than that. And some of the bass ones are coming off too early. Now these are very last minute too here, very, very last minute dampers. They should come off normally about the hammer's halfway to the string. There's a damper coming off about the right time there. That's hammer halfway to the string, damper pulls off, and that gives a nice touch. Now, if we fully restore a piano, we change the rest plank behind here. This hasn't had the rest plank changed, and in fact it's got about the biggest tuning pins you can possibly fit in. If you change the rest plank, you can put smaller ones in. But having said that, they don't look too bad, although I think they've been sprayed here. If you look, you can see they've been sprayed. And you can see behind the spray there, so the tuning pins have been sprayed to match the frame, which is a bit unusual. Never do that in the UK. Some of these they're put on reasonably well, but the coils aren't that tight. Really good restringer puts on really tight coils. Interestingly, we've got a frame date here of 1890, so perhaps it did 1890, although the serial number says 1889. And the string length here is reasonably good. They're not really, well, German strings are a little bit better. The string length will be longer, and they'll be closer to the pins there. Perhaps the biggest surprise of all is the tuning, and that seems like a last tuning date of 2001. It's now 2015, and certainly borne out by the pitch of the piano. If we listen to the pitch of the piano, that's a C, sorry, that's an A. Almost a semitone out. That's almost the same as the pitch of the tuning fork. That's an A440 tuning fork, so it should be dead on. That A440 should be. It's almost a semitone out, so really it's not been tuned probably since 2001, and maybe dried out a bit as well, because that's very, very flat for that length of time. Certainly if we look at the soundboard here, we can see some cracks in it. That certainly bears out the fact that it's dried out. So it has dried out. Now, actually, the cracks in the soundboard indicate dryness. They don't necessarily indicate that the tone of the piano is bad. Now, here's the soundboard from the back. You can actually see the cracks more clearly here. Now, the reason it doesn't affect the tone is because the sound travels across the ribs. So the sound is carried by the rib across the soundboard, so that's carried from end to end. So the fact that there's a crack indicates it's dried out. If it causes a buzz, because sometimes the glue comes off here, then that is a problem. But the actual crack itself doesn't affect the sound of the piano, no matter what you're told. But if we restring the piano, we would fill the cracks anyway, because it doesn't look good to have cracks in the soundboard of a piano. But also make sure the soundboard is dried out as much as it could be, so that just to make sure the soundboard has been dried out for modern central heating. So that's a tall Steinway upright piano, 1889-1890, brought in for assessment to see if we want to purchase it or not. Now, there's several aspects of the reconditioning that are really badly done, like the key tops, which are cracked in many places and lifting just the wrong shape, some of them. So they need definitely replacing with a better colour key top as well. This little stay for the music stand is missing too. That's not that important. The case is reasonable, although it's two-tone colour between the inside and the outside. Lots of aspects which, if we were doing it, we'd also replace the tuning block, not put bigger tuning pins in, put really nice German strings on. Hammers are unusual. I have to investigate those. The bridle tapes are different lengths, and really there's an awful lot to do. Dampers are coming off at different times, lots of regulation. The keys, the touch doesn't quite feel right either, and last of all, the tuning is almost a semitone flat and really honky-tonk at the moment. The piano's dried out, the soundboard's got cracks. It's going to be very difficult to decide how to advise this client of what to do with the piano. And sticky keys as well, as you can see. Thank you very much for listening.